Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to go over, and this is obviously part one, so I'm going to go over a few things, and there's going to be a part two as well. So you should go to the description below. There should be a link to the PDF off my Google Drive that opens up the PDF, and then you certainly have my permission download as well. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now and open it. That way I can zoom in better. All right, with the Google Drive, you can only zoom in so far. All right, so there, how to find out when Jesus died. So there's 4 different steps. The reason I bring this, put all this together, because a lot of people only look at a little piece, and then they assume it's correct, and then they assume they got the right year. We have to look at all the parts and pieces. Alrighty. So for example, people look at Luke 3:1. We're going to talk about the reign of Tiberius, and yes, in the Roman world, the year the emperor died, and then the year that the next emperor takes over, it's considered the official year they start. The problem is Luke did not go by that. So I go over that in part 2 already. So that's just one example. So step 1, tie the Old Testament prophecy concerning the Passover lamb to the Hebraic calendar. Step 2, compare all 4 gospel accounts of the crucifixion, 3-day, 3-night burial, resurrection. So these videos go over that, steps 1 and step 2. So this one is by far the best one I could find on the internet. I've looked at a lot of videos on this, alright? This is the best one by far. I mean, I compared close to 15 videos, alrighty? And so, yeah, so if you don't feel comfortable, click on the link, go to on YouTube, 119 Ministries with the Last Supper or Passover meal. Alrighty, this is by far the best. And so they tied the Old Testament prophecies and the Old Testament prophecies with the Hebraic calendar and the gospel accounts with the 3-day, 3-night burial and resurrection and crucifixion. All right. But this one here it's a little bit quicker. It's just tying the gospel to 3-day, 3-night prophecy. So it's a very short video. So you do search Tomorrow's World, Timeline Explained, 3 days, 3 nights. Alrighty, they're very good. So I've had compliments both. So yeah, there's a couple other videos too, but I highly recommend this one by far. It's an hour long, but by far the best. All right. So once you cover that, then you have an understanding how it all works together, and that's how I came up with this here. What you see. This whole thing here, tying all the scriptures together, it all comes together with the calendar, alrighty, based on those videos, alrighty. So then step 3, understand how the Hebraic calendar works. Recognize that Jewish people never use the calculation method with the leap years, alrighty. That is so important. And then step 4 is going to be, I'm going to go over it in part 2. We're check against John 2:20, Luke 3:1, Matthew 24:34, and Daniel 70 weeks. Alrighty, it all has to line up. Alrighty, so since part 1 covers over step 3, I'm going to cover how the Hebraic calendar works. Alright, so if you look at me here. So here's spring equinox, and here's the new moon. Alright, the new moon has to fall within 2 weeks on each side, 14 days on each side of spring equinox. Alrighty. So what happens is, as the years go by, the new moon gets ahead of the spring equinox, and if you don't do anything about it, you just drift off, and eventually the Passover lamb goes from spring and into summer, and then fall, and then winter. Okay. So then we have what's called a leap year. So we have to add a month. So what they do in the Hebraic calendar, they take that last month and they add it again. That brings the new moon to the other side. Alrighty, and so that's called a leap year. So it keeps happening repetitiously. Alrighty, and so it's something we have to be careful of. Well, I'm gonna show you 31 AD, where it was not a leap year, and we're going to apply the Hebraic method, and you'll see how it does not match the calculation method, and you'll see why the calculation method is problematic. So first, we're going to look in 31 AD, check it against the spring equinox. Okay, so first we have to go. So spring equinox here. Alrighty. So 31 AD was March 23rd. Alrighty, that's the spring equinox. Alrighty, so I'm going to click on this calendar here. I'm going to go to 31 AD. March 22nd. No, this is Julian calendar. Okay, so the big numbers are Julian calendar. The smaller numbers are Hebraic. Alrighty. So it's a good the calendar that we use today at Gregorian. It basically just has a higher level of precision. I have articles on that on the PDF, so that explains it. But anyway, so we know the spring equinox is here. Alrighty. So where's the new moon? The new moon's on the 12th. Alrighty. So that is over here. So does that fall within the 2-week window, the 14 days? Yes, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So this is not a leap year. Let me say it again. This is not a leap year. I just showed you it fell within the 14-day window. This is not a leap year. Now let's say you go 2 weeks back. That's 14 days, and then 15th day. And let's say the new moon's here. That would make it a leap year then. 3180 would then be a leap year, but it's not because the new moon falls on the 12th. Alrighty, so I just want to be very clear on that. So I just proved to you this is not a leap year. Alrighty, so here's the problem. I'm going to go to a calendar, use the calculation method. So Adar 1 is the last month of the Hebraic calendar. If it's a leap year, you add it again. That gets the new moon back to the other side. Now this 3180, and I already showed you, it's not a leap year. Well, the calculation method, they turned it to a leap year. So now you got a whole bunch of people believing that Christ died in 31 AD. Okay, because the calculation method is throwing a lot of people off. All right, so anyway, yeah. So let me give you an example. Oops. Here we go. So when you see something like this on the internet, where it says the 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19-year tonic cycle are leap years, this is 100% false. Anytime they say, another website might say 2nd, 5th, and 9th, 12th, and 15th, whatever. It might be true for one particular segment of 19 years, okay? So this 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, 19th years, that might have been true for that particular segment of 19th year we're looking at. But the mistake is being made, or taking the 19 years and assuming that those leap years are going to be the same in every 19-year cycle. And that's where you get run into the problem. That's not the way it's done by the Jewish people, and that's why you saw earlier, I proved to you, 31 AD is not a leap year, but when you apply this calculation method, if you even want to call it that, that's where you run into a problem, and you turn 31 AD, that's not a leap year, into a leap year. Alrighty, so that's just something to be careful of. Alrighty. So, and then there's a link here from the moon phases, BC and AD as well, if you ever need that. So there's a whole bunch of tools here that helps you. And here's the link that explains the difference between the Julian and Gregorian calendar. Alrighty. So, yeah, and then here's a link to where it all began. Genesis 1, the calendar that the Jewish people used. So they used it from the beginning all the way to the end. They never deviated from this. Alrighty. Now, however, with Babylonian captivity, they did, instead of calling it month 1, month 2, month 3, like they did before, then they carried on the names from Babylonian calendar, which still uses Genesis 1. The Babylonian calendar still used the same method as Genesis 1, alrighty, but they just add the names to the months, alrighty. So from the Babylonian calendar, the Hebraic calendar renamed just some of the names of the month. That's the only difference, alright. From that point forward, they used it all the way through to the end of all the way to the very end, the destruction of the temple, Revelation 22, verse 21, alright. So from Genesis 1:1 all the way to Revelation 22:21, they used the biblical calendar, Genesis 1, and so forth. Another thing I want to point out, I have a video on the 360-day prophetic calendar. Do not use this, alrighty? Especially for Daniel 7 week. It is going to throw you off. It is not biblical. I go over that. You just can't take a snippet of time of a text and just apply it across the board. That is just serious recklessness. And so, so the beauty of the calendar, the Hebraic calendar, you see all kinds of cool stuff, how it ties in with Scripture, how everything is accurate down to the hour. Like there'll be a 40-year prophecy, and it fulfilled, like right down to the hour. It's which confirmed that it's the correct calendar. No other calendar can make that claim. So, anyway. I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to cover for part 1. So I hope to see you in part 2 where I go over step 4, and we check against John 2:20, Luke 3:1, Matthew 24:34, at the end of 70 weeks to work with the 30 AD date that eventually we'll figure out. That's 30 AD. Alrighty. So I'll hope to see you in part 2, and hope you enjoy the material. Thank you.